Hello buddy, and welcome back to another video. We have a two-part video here. This first part is going to be part one of solving quadratics. We're going to solve by factoring, and also solve some ones that cannot be factored, and so we're going to use the quadratic formula. So here on number one we have 4x squared minus 21 plus 5. What we're going to do is multiply the 4 and the 5. And then we're going to ask ourselves what factors of 20 add up to negative 21. And those two numbers that work, negative 20 and negative 1. And that's going to be a setup for our answer. It's not the final answer, but it is just a setup for the answer. Okay, so x minus 20 and x minus 1. Now we're going to go back to our a number. So remember, a standard form of a quadratic: a, b, and c. And then you divide each of these by a. And if it divides, great. 20 divided by 4, 5. So we have x minus 5. But if it doesn't divide, you take the denominator and put it in front of the numerator. So we're going to have 4x. Denominator in front of the x, I'm sorry. So we're going to have 4x minus 1. So our factored form, x minus 5, 4x minus 1. Now, say this were, we are going to solve it isn't just factoring, so what we do need to do is set it equal to 0, because remember our original problem equal to 0. And then we're solving each of these. We kind of have like two mini equations. You have x minus 5 equals 0. And then you have 4x minus 1 equals 0. Solving this for x, add 5, x equals 5. That's one solution. Solve this one, add 1 to both sides, divide by 4, x equals 1/4. Alright. Got another example here, number 2. Let's look at number 2. Same situation. You have a, b, and c, standard form of a quadratic. A times c, 3 times negative 7, negative 21. What factors of negative 21 add up to negative 4? Those two numbers are negative 7 and positive 3. X minus 7 and x plus 3. We go back to a. Divide each of those by 3. If they divide, great. But if they don't, we'll just move that to the numerator, to the right in front of the x. We're still equal to 0, so that gives us two solutions here. X has to be negative 1, or x has to be 7/3. Two answers to solve that quadratic by factoring. Okay, we got another one coming up here. It's a little bit different. Number 3, okay, so we have a rectangle, and the rectangle, the width is 2 more than the length. Okay, here's a picture of a rectangle, and length and width, and yeah, normally we do length, L and W, but instead of W, it says the width is 2 more than the length, 2 plus L. So instead of W, we'll use the expression 2 plus L. Okay, and I need a little bit more information with this. They also say, in this particular problem, the area is 63 square inches. Okay, so given all this information, what we can do is make an equation. You know, the area of a rectangle is length times width. Area 63 is equal to L, the length. But now I'm going to use the expression for the width, L plus 2. Alright, I'm going to simplify this. 63 is equal to L squared plus 2L. And then what I'm going to do is get everything to one side. I'm going to take away 63 from both sides. So I'm going to have 0 equals L squared plus 2L minus 63. And in order to solve this, I need to factor it. In order to factor it, I need to answer this question. what factors of negative 63 add up to positive 2? And those two numbers we need are 9 and 7, because 9 and 7 is 63, but I need the 9 to be a positive, plus 9. I need the 7 to be a minus, minus 7. So we have L plus 9 and L minus 7 equal to 0. The two values, if we were to solve that for L would have to be negative 9, or L would have to be 7. It doesn't make sense for a length to be a negative. So based on this answer, we can talk about the length, and the length being 7 inches. Question asked for the width. We can compute the width, no problem. The width is going to be 2 more than 7, which is 9. There we go. All right. Another one to solve here, number 4. We want to get everything to one side, but you know what? Sometimes it's a little more complicated if your A number is negative. So what we can do is we can add 2x squared to both sides of the equation. We could add the 9x to both sides of the equation, giving us this. 0 equals 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. So that 4 didn't move, it stayed put. And then we can go work on solving it like we normally do. We take the A and the C number, multiply them together to get 8. We're going to ask ourselves what factors of 8 add up to 9. And those two numbers are 8 and 1. So we've got temporary factors for this are x plus 1, x plus 8. We go back to the A number, divide each by it. Look what we get. X plus 4, 2x plus 1. Equals 0. X equals negative 4, solving this for 0, or x would be negative 1/2. And again, we get those two answers by just think about the two factors, x plus 4. We're setting that equal to 0 and solving. 2x plus 1. We're setting that equal to 0 and solving. That's how we get our two answers here. All right, let's look at number 5. B squared equals 6b plus 16. Let's take away 6b from both sides. Take away 16 from both sides. And then the question we ask ourselves, what factors of negative 16 add up to negative 6? And those two numbers, let's get it set up first. Let's see, 8 and 2, but if we have a negative 8 and a positive 2, that'll satisfy the conditions, because negative 8 times 2 is negative 16, but negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Solving these for b, we get b equals negative 2 and b equals 8. So our two answers. All right, number 6 is a little different. It's not standard form, difference of squares, or we could just solve it directly. Get the x squared by itself by adding 81 to both sides. And then x squared is equal to 81. Take the square root of both sides, but keeping in mind whenever you take the square root, there's always the plus or the minus possibility. Plus or minus 1. So this is solving not by factoring, like I said, we're just solving directly. And we're going to apply that again for number 7. We have negative 2, x plus 1 squared plus 16. First thing we're going to do is take away 16 from both sides. So we have negative 2, x plus 1, quantity squared equals negative 16. First, or next, after the next one, we divide by negative 2. That's our next step. x plus 1 is now by itself. Well, at least the square term is. That's our goal here. Get the square term by itself. Negative 16 divided by negative 2 is 8. Now we're ready to take the square root. We have x plus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of 8. We can simplify square root of 8 down a little bit. All right, let's rewrite here. X plus 1 equal to plus minus. Well, 8 can simplify in radical form. Instead of saying 8, we can say 4 times 2. Take the square root of 4 and get 2. So now we're at plus minus 2 radical 2. So since 4 is a perfect square, we can take the square root of it and put it outside the radical. One last step. Take away 1 from both sides. Negative 1 plus or minus 2 radical 2. And that's our answer. Okay. So here we just continued our formula here, finding square roots. Just solve quadratics by finding square roots. That's all we're doing. Let's check out number 8 here, and then we'll turn to the quadratic formula. We're going to add 75 to both sides. Divide by 3. 75 divided by 3 is 25. We're going to take the square root. X is equal to 2 answers, plus or minus 5. All right. A couple more examples. Let's solve using the quadratic formula. If you remember the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, notice your a, your b, and your c. And then it's a matter of plugging that in the formula and solving. Negative b would be 18 plus or minus square root 18 squared. 18 squared in your calculators says 324 minus 4 times the a number times the c number all over 2a. 2 times 5 is 10. All right, we'll continue to simplify and get 18 plus or minus. All right, 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times negative 8 is negative 160. If I take 324 and subtract negative 160, I'm going to get positive 484. All over 10 still. It turns out 484 has a square root. 18 plus or minus the square root of 44, we say 22. All over 10. 18 plus 22 is 40. So we have 40 over 10. Or 18 minus 22, negative 4 over 10. Reduce those. We have an answer of 4 or negative 2/5. Those are our two values of x. All right, let's try it again here. One last problem. Get everything to one side. 9x squared plus 12x minus 1 equals 0. Notice your a, b, and c. A, b, c. X equals negative b, negative 12, plus or minus square root of b squared. 12 squared is 144. Minus 4 times the 9 times the negative 1. All over 2a, which is all over 2 times 9, 18. All right, simplifying more. Still have negative 12, plus or minus. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 times negative 1, and negative 36. If you take 144 and add 36, you get the square root of 180. We're still over 18. And then this 18 breaks down into 36 and 5. So I'm going to take 36 times 5, rewriting that. Still have the negative 12 plus or minus. Still over 18. I can take the square root of 36, put it out in front, and I get negative 12 plus or minus 6. Square root of 5 all over 18. And that reduces to -2 plus or minus square root of 5 all over 3.